Hey, what's up? David here, coming back to you with my second video, and today it's going to be something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be doing my collection of one of my favorite bands, and that is Death. Death is a band that I really feel like they need no introduction. Chances are, if you're into extreme metal, if you're into death metal, you know who Death is. So I'm not really here to give you, a history lesson on the band or anything like that. If you want to know more, go look it up and find out for yourself. But yeah, this is all their full-length albums, all 7 full-length albums from this band. Death has been one of my favorite bands since I first discovered them in 2007, so quite a few years ago. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. So first up, we have Death, Scream Bloody Gore, their first full-length album, released in 1987. Man, this is easily my favorite album from them, without a doubt. I mean, front to back, this album is it's just fucking perfect. I mean, I really can't think of a single flaw with this album. This is definitely the album that was kind of my gateway into death metal, into more, extreme styles of metal, because at the time when I discovered this band, the heaviest I was willing to go was stuff like, Creator, just the thrash stuff pretty much. And this album from Death, Scream Bloody Gore, and Possessed Seven Churches, I would say, are probably the 2 albums that were kind of like that was my gateway into this genre, where I was like, okay, now I'm kind of starting to be more interested, and now I think I'm starting to get this. But, yeah, man, Scream Bloody Gore, I fucking love this album. It's one of my favorite albums of all time from any band, not just my favorite Death album. Love that fucking artwork. One of my favorite artworks of all time, too. So cool. If I have to pick out any standout tracks, that's really hard because, like I said, front to back, this album's just flawless to me. But I would say Evil Dead. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, my favorite movie series. Scream Bloody Gore, the title track, and probably like Baptized in Blood and Regurgitated Guts, if I had to pick a few. But again, it's hard to pick a standout track because this album is just fucking so perfect to me. So yeah, Death, Scream Bloody Gore. Next up, we had their second full-length, Leprosy, 1988. This pretty much continues in the same direction that, Scream Bloody Gore was going in. Production's a little better on this, for sure. My biggest gripe, and I feel like a lot of people kind of feel the same about this, just that the snare sound on the drums on this, it's a little headachy at first, especially if you're first getting into this album. I'm completely used to it now. It doesn't fucking bother me anymore. But yeah, Leprosy, like I said, it's a continuation of what they were doing with Scream Bloody Gore. There's really not that much different. Maybe the songwriting was getting a little bit tighter, but yeah, this is still a great album for sure. If I had to pick any standout tracks from Leprosy, I would say Pull the Plug, Left to Die, and Forgotten Past. Those are probably some of my favorites. So yeah, Death, Leprosy. Next up, we have their third full-length, Spiritual Healing, released in 1990. And this is where they added James Murphy from Obituary into the lineup. And with this album, this is where this band kind of started to change things up a bit. There were some melodies that were starting to creep up a bit in the guitar work, and the production was even more improved this time around. And the way I look at this album, it's like it's half the direction of their first 2 albums, the old Death sound, and the other half is like, and it's also halfway like where they would continue with their sound in their later albums. Chuck was starting to just write a lot more bizarre, just guitar lines, and just doing more of these like weird, those just almost like those progressive kind of transitions. And yeah, it really starts to show on this album. But yeah, awesome album. And this is also final death cover to be done by the great Ed Repka. Fucking love his artwork. He does such a great job. But if I had to pick any standout tracks from this one, I would definitely say Living Monstrosity, Within the Mind, and Killing Spree. Those are probably my favorites from this one. So yeah, Death, Spiritual Healing. And next up we have Human, their fourth full length, released in 1991. This completely new lineup on this one. This is where Chuck added Steve DiGiorgio. You guys might know him from bands like Sadus and many others. He's in so many fucking bands now, it's ridiculous. But yeah, Steve DiGiorgio and Sean Reinhart from Cynic were added to the lineup for this record. And this is where things got a lot more technical and just way more progressive. But still has that death sound, just has that aggressive, heavy sound for sure. But yeah, it's considered, to be one of the biggest influences for technical death metal without a doubt. So, yeah, Death, Human. If I had to pick any standout tracks from this, Lack of Comprehension. That's probably one of my favorite death songs, just in general. Flattening of Emotions is great. Suicide Machine, Vacant Planets. Yeah, just awesome stuff. Death, Human. And next we have Death, Individual Thought Patterns. This is their fifth full-length album. 1993, I think. And again, this continues with the technical direction, even more melodies coming through on here. Oh, and I forgot to talk about of course, the lyrics changed too from, the early stuff from just the horror movie, blood, gore type of lyrics, and now it's just mostly, it's personal struggles, society, stuff like that. Chuck was really, I guess he just got tired of the violent lyrics and decided to wanted to do more personal type of lyrics. But yeah, like I said, this is where things just get a lot more technical, a lot more melodic, more progressive, and yeah, Individual Thought Patterns. If I had to pick any standout tracks from this, let's see, Trapped in a Corner, Mentally Blind, the title track, Individual Thought Patterns. Yeah, those are probably some of my favorites from this. So yeah, Individual Thought Patterns. And next up, we have the sixth full-length album, Symbolic, released in 1990. Oh man, I get worse and worse with these as they go. Oh, 95. It's on the back. Thank God. So yeah, Death, Symbolic. Again, just continuing with that melodic, progressive sound. Actually, a little bit of a power metal vibe on this, to be honest, with a lot of these songs. But yeah, still awesome stuff. Still has that death sound. They never abandon that. If I had to pick out any standout tracks from this, I would say the title track, Symbolic, Zero Tolerance is awesome. Crystal Mountain, and the epic closer, Perennial Quest. Really, really cool shit. So yeah, Symbolic. And we have the final Death album, their last studio album, Sound of Perseverance. This is definitely my least favorite of the bunch, but again, it's Death. I don't consider a single one of these albums to be bad or even mediocre. I think they're all great. Obviously some I like more than others. The first three albums I think are definitely their best. But yeah, again, just pushing that progressive sound even further. This is probably their most melodic, I would say, because they even start to add like a bunch of acoustic guitar parts and stuff like that. It's got a fucking awesome cover of Judas Priest's Painkiller. They were definitely starting to show their more traditional metal influences as they went further with their discography. But yeah, like I said, it may be my least favorite. Still a great album, awesome riffs, love the melodies. But yeah, just don't like it as much as the others, I guess. If I had to pick out any standout tracks from this, I would say Scavenger, Human Sorrow, Bite the Pain, Flesh and the Power It Holds, and yeah. Oh yeah, Spirit Crusher. That's a great one too, actually. So yeah, the final full length from Death, Sound of Perseverance. And yeah, that is my Death collection. That is all their full length albums on CD. So again, most of you all more than likely already know this band. Like I said, I'm not here to give you a history lesson. I'm not even here to go into full on reviews of these albums. I'm just here to talk about what I enjoyed about them, you know, how I got into the band, and you know, that's about it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Take it easy.